American values. What are they? I'm an American, you're an American. I think that a lot of times we don't really stop and say, okay, this is what ideologically it means to be an American, to have American values. A broken clock is right twice a day. You knew that, right? A broken clock is right twice a day. There's a lot of us that really don't like the United Nations and what they stand for, but a broken clock is right twice a day. And their charter on human rights gets it right. All right? The Charter for UN Human Rights was primarily crafted by American diplomats and their counterparts in what used to be the Christian nations of Europe. And basically they said, nothing in there about killing your babies, nothing in there about who you marry. It's that you get to practice your religion. You have the right to criticize your government. You have freedom of speech, freedom of association, who you hang out with. All right? You have the right to take out the leaders of your government in a nonviolent way. We call that an election, okay? Basic fundamental things that we take for granted, that we don't even think about. That's the essence of Western liberty. The right to freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to own property, freedom of movement, all of these things, all right? That is not Islam. That is not Islam. Now, I'm setting this up for you because President Obama he is an embarrassment. He really is. If it wasn't for the fact that he is so dangerous and that he is such an evildoer, and if it wasn't for the fact that the topics that he is discussing, and God help us, Christ save us, that the authority that he has at his disposal, if it wasn't for the fact that he is using that authority primarily for evil, that in a way that puts us in danger, that slaughters babies, that tramples on marriage, if it wasn't for the fact that he was such a powerful evildoer, we could actually sit back and watch clips of him and mock him. He's like one long Saturday Night Live skit. I want to play a clip and then talk about this. We're going to use, he's been traveling around the world, as you know, and running his mouth in a way that's an embarrassment, and it would be laughable if he wasn't so powerful in his human office. Play that clip, please.
Prejudice and discrimination helps ISIL and undermines our national security. And so even as we destroy ISIL on the battlefield, and we will destroy them, we will take back land that they are currently in. We will cut off their financing. We will hunt down their leadership. We will dismantle their networks and their supply lines, and we will ultimately destroy them. Even as we are in the process of doing that, we want to make sure that we don't lose our own values and our own principles.
All right. The reason I discuss American values is because he's trying to say, and he's been saying, don't be bigoted against Islam. The very thought that we would say that we're not going to let Syrian refugees in America because they're Muslim, that's ridiculous. That's contrary to our values, what we stand for. No, it's really not. It's really not. Because Islam is at war with our values. Islam does not believe in freedom of religion. If you live in an Islamic country, you're not allowed to build a church. You're not allowed to preach the gospel. It's in the Sharia law. You are not allowed to even publicly read the gospel. Okay? You're not allowed to evangelize people to Christ. You're not allowed to criticize the demonic tyrants, such as the crown family of Saudi Arabia. So, Mr. Obama is talking about our values, and it's a ruse. That's what I want you to understand. He doesn't believe in our values. He doesn't. If he did, then why does he single out Assad, who is a ruthless dictator? but he cozies up and bows down to the ruthless dictator of, say, Saudi Arabia. Do you see the hypocrisy? It's not based upon principle. And again, Islamic values are at war with our values. Look at the way Christians are treated in Islamic countries. There are no Christians in Saudi Arabia legally. There's no churches legally. At least in Syria, as much of a monster as Assad is, and he is a monster, he allowed Christians and Jews to be at some level of peace and to have churches and synagogues. You don't get that in Saudi Arabia. What do we get out of Saudi Arabia that Obama likes them so much? Glug, glug, glug.